Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 29th of December. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, yesterday, when I was talking in the bigger picture, I was looking at the sell signals that were on ES and NQ, and both of those have made target overnight, so we no longer have any sell signals. So that's actually not a bad thing because we haven't made some of our targets to the upside, and I still like to see those made. We have made all of the targets on ES. We haven't made a new all-time high, but that's mainly because of the roll. So on SPX, we've made a new all-time high. We've made the IHS target, and we have no further targets to the upside. But this is the only one of which that is true. NQ, the IHS broke up with a target in the 25,990 area, hasn't quite made target. We also haven't made it up to the previous high, and we're nowhere near the all-time high. I'd still quite like to see those made, but I'm starting to be a bit doubtful because we're coming out of Santa Rally and coming into the bearish week of the end of the year. It's still a holiday week. It's still not very bearish, but I've seen some big declines in this period in the past, and the historical stats lean at least slightly down. Looking at RTY, RTY, we had an IHS break up, and we've been forming effectively what looks like a bull flag since then. That didn't break down overnight while the sell signals were making target on NQ and ES, so that's good. We will see how it develops from here. So, but my lean would be this would likely go up. YM, again, we got a double bottom. It's broken up. It's got a target back up and a retest this high. Hasn't made it yet, and hasn't been showing much enthusiasm for getting there. But I think this probably looks like a bull flag forming. We will see. DAX, we got an IHS which is broken up with a target at a retest of the prior high, not far above. Thinking that will make it. And here I've got an IHS marked in, but I think it's really too big to be an IHS. So I've been mentioning that as a target. I wasn't really expecting to see that. But this looks like a bull flag, and I'd still quite like to see a retest of this high. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, looking at SPX. ES and SPX looking pretty good. On the ES chart, we've almost made it up to a new all-time high. I haven't actually upgraded this from the. This is March, right? Okay. On the March chart, but on SPX, we have actually made it to that retest of the all-time high and made it up another 20 handles from there. No current negative divergence. I'm watching for that on the daily and hourly charts, and at the moment, I've got nothing on any of them. So, leaning a bit towards the upside, I would like to see some more upside to make the targets on the other indices. Looking at Qs, Qs, we're still struggling a bit here. Haven't really got that far away from the daily middle band, which of course is now going up as well. So it needs to go up a certain degree just to keep clear of that. IWM actually was testing it again on Friday. Looking at the daily chart, no divergence. Hourly chart, no divergence. Still quite like to see a retest of this high. If you draw in a declining resistance trend line here, it has gone through that, or at least I'm pretty certain it has. Let's just test that. So that being the case, no, it hasn't. All right, I'm going to leave that on. I would like to see that broken as soon as possible, ideally today. Otherwise, I would be wondering about things like potentially a flag forming with another leg down. So that wouldn't be altogether bad, but it is. We're looking at Qs right here. That is a possibility. Looking at the 15-minute chart, we've got some 15-minute divergences, but nothing on NQ. We've almost made it to this little IHS target on the Qs, and we will see how it goes, but I'd quite like to see it get up over this declining resistance trend line, up over this prior high at 628.40 to give it a shot at getting back to the all-time high at 636.19. Looking at Dia, Dia pretty close to a retest of the high. Nothing on the hourly charts. On the 15-minute charts, we're pretty close to the retest, which is at 488.60, and we've got a high here at 487.62. very close, hasn't quite made it yet. In my view, that will be unfinished business until that is made. All right, looking at IWM, we have on the daily charts, we were actually testing the daily middle band again on Friday. This has been, I mean, this was getting a bounce because of interest rates being cut, but of course, there's as soon as it becomes absolutely apparent that yields aren't going down, so interest rates aren't really going down either. There's always likely to be a bit of a return to reality. The fact is, IWM is borrowing money at commercial rates. Commercial rates depend on yields. Yields are not, in fact, dropping. Any benefit from the Fed cutting rates is illusionary and based mainly on people thinking that that's got something to do with interest rates, which in truth it doesn't. All right, looking at IWM on the hourly chart, no current divergence. On the 15-minute chart, kind of looks like a bull flag, but I'd like to see it turn up now if it's going to. All right, let's have a look at the stats for this week. Okay, the stats for this week are neutral, but leaning very slightly bearish today, leaning a little more bearish tomorrow, and leaning very bearish on Wednesday. And Wednesday we've got is the last day of the year, and only has it's actually up at about 72% red closes, which is quite a lot. So we will see. Nasdaq's been down 19 of the last 25 years. We will see how that goes, but we are switching over into a period where we've got more bearish tape coming. Not a lot more. January's not a particularly notably bearish month, although we have seen some pretty impressive declines in January, as I'm sure everyone remembers. All right, DAX, not necessarily leading towards seeing a high retest here, as we do have a nice alternate head and shoulder pattern. But I've got to say, overall, I'm not really looking at that right now because I don't see, until we see some more all-time high retests on the other indices, I'm not really thinking this looks ready. In terms of Nikkei, if this is a bullish triangle, and really looks like one, then this should be breaking up towards a retest of the all-time high here at 52.6k. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at DX. DX, we've got a nice looking double bottom here, and we've got a smaller inverted head and shoulders, which is actually now broken up with a target in the 98.21 area. I'm quite liking this, and I'm liking it on the bigger picture, and I'm liking the support for it on the other currency pairs. We've got a nice looking double top here. We're topping out. It looks like a decent looking rising wedge resistance up here on GBP. USD, GBP, and JPY are the ones which matter. And we've got unfinished business above on USD, JPY at a retest of this high, which isn't a bad thing if DX is going to be bouncing up. So I'm quite liking. liking where that's standing. So I quite like the side chest to make target. We will see. If we see a fail down here, then I'll be leaning towards continuation down. We shall see. All right, looking at ZB, possible bottoming action here, but the main picture we've got here is of bonds breaking down and yields breaking up across TNX, TYX, etc. So it could be that we're not going to do that. We will see. But in terms of the Fed cutting rates, and very much in terms of the Fed losing its independence soon, which seems to be the stated intention of the administration, that's not good for bonds. And it's likely to push bonds down, yields up. All right, ZN consolidating sideways, kind of looks like a bear flag forming. Again, we've got a double top which is broken down with a target in the 110.17 to 110.12 range. We've got big patterns which are broken down on bonds, and I'm leaning towards those making their targets. Right, CL, we saw a spike up on Venezuela, then a 50% retrace approximately, and it looks like we're going back up to retest this high. That could be the second high of double top when we get there. Meantime, it cleared out, that move cleared out all the sell signals we had on CL, HO, and RBOB. HO, we had a little double bottom that broke up and fell back into the low. We've now got a potentially larger double bottom, which is actually a pretty nice one, which could break up. RBOB, move up. This is about 61% retracement, I think, and then looks like we're heading back to the high at the moment. NG, this looked rather different when I rolled it into February. This looks like an inverted head and shoulders forming, and I'm wondering whether it might be. If we see a sustained break up over the 4.03 area at the moment, then we could see a move which could get us back up into about 4.55 area. Are we going to resume what looked like an uptrend here? This was a very stiff rejection. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we don't, but waiting to see. GC, we've been seeing a little bit of retracement overnight after a wild week in which SI actually managed to make it up to 82. Wow. We don't have a huge amount suggesting retracement here, but we do have a little head and shoulders trying to break down here on SI, and that would be breaking down with a target. I know this has been moving so wildly. The target's actually down at about the 62 area, 63 maybe. So we will see. Palladium, we've got a possible level top here, which is trying to break down again. This was moving wildly up and has moved wildly down overnight. This move overnight from this high is down, like 350 plus handles, which is pretty impressive stuff. On platinum, we made the bigger picture IHS target that I'd been looking at, which was about in the 2450 area. Again, this could be topping action. We will see. I'm not seeing an awful lot suggest that we see a consolidation here, but we're due one fairly soon. I was talking about that last night on the bigger picture. On HG, we went up to I think not quite a retest of the all-time high. Sorry, not the all-time high necessarily, but certainly the high for a very long time at about the 5.94 area. We got up into that area. We could see resistance there. I am wondering if I've underestimated the importance of copper in terms of being a metal used in the data centers and also in renewable energy, which is likely to see a lot of activity over the next couple of years, and overestimating its use as a construction material and in general industry. Both of those latter ones, I think, are likely to be facing weak demand. The others, not so much. So I'm watching with interest when we see this retest to see whether that's going to make the second high of a top or continue higher. What I would say is I had a whole load of sell signals on HG, and they're all failed or failing. And if that continues to be the case, well, that could be opening up for a leg up. All right, KC. KC, possible bottoming action here, nothing particularly clear. Sugar, still looking for a bear flag to be forming here. I'd quite like to see this double bottom make target in the 15.43 area. We've got pretty close to that, and this looks overall like a big bear flag forming. On CC, we got a little double bottom, which is broken up with a target in the 64.30 area. That was forming the whole of last week and is finally making a move. On CT, large double bottom, which looks as though it may be breaking up shortly. On lumber, we had an IHS which broke up and failed. This looks like an overall bear flag forming. ZW, keeping an open mind on this one, but I'm quite liking the upside. But I don't see a clear reversal pattern at the moment. We'll see whether one forms. Ideally, we'd go back and retest the low and see if we found support there. On corn, back testing the monthly pivot at the moment. Looks like a triangle breaking up, in which case the obvious target would be a retest of this high here in the 457 area. On soy, looks like a bear flag which might be breaking down. On soybean oil, we've got a little double bottom which is broken up with a target in the 50.45 to 50.68 range. On live cattle, consolidation sideways, could be a little double top if we're going to see some retracement. Sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. On lean hogs, we've got a slight break below this rising support here. We've got a large double bottom which is broken up with a target in the 88.65 to 90.2 area, and I'm leaning towards that making target. All right, great. In that case, I've got no questions, so I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Cheers.